Welcome back. If you are trying to open and grow your brokerage, this is the episode for you. Our best recruiting tips.
Yeah, so join us today for part 4 on the Wandering But Not Lost podcast.
You've reached the WBNL Wandering But Not Lost podcast, where real estate and reality meet. And now your hosts, Jan O'Brien and Matt Emerson.
Well, welcome everyone to the WBNL Wandering But Not Lost podcast, where real estate and reality meet. This is episode 243. You can find all of our show notes over at WBNLpodcast.com. Jan O'Brien, this series comes to an end.
For now.
Until we say something during this episode where we're like, maybe we should do another episode.
But this is a great way to bring it all home. We talked about, really there's been 5 episodes because we started way back whenever, and I know Matt has them all linked in the, if you're catching this one and you missed the others, we'll have it in the show notes at WBNLpodcast.com, episode 243, and you can go back and catch the other ones because they weren't all in a row because we were doing interviews in between.
Yep.
So we have talked about basically pros and cons. Do you even really want to do it? That was our little intro to the series. And then we picked it up from you've decided that you do want to open a brokerage. And so we walked you through the first 3 parts, which was 10 things to walk through to start getting handled before you even get into the details of opening. And it's all the admin and the behind the scenes and picking a name and looking at your local legal things you have to do with your association, with your realtor board, your real estate board, rather, your licensing division. We handled all that, gave you everything that you needed for that. Then we started talking a little bit about what you have to do for the operations of the things that you've ever had to do if you've never owned a brokerage, because your broker was taking care of it.
Right.
We get you educated on all those things that you need to do. And the last episode 3, Matt took you through branding and marketing and promotion, everything from logos and color designs to everything that you need to have for marketing materials, and even having a grand opening. And so now we're looking at how do you grow your brokerage. So today, I want to jump in and say it's just really, it all starts with, what are your goals for recruiting? Because not everybody wants to have a huge company. You know, Matt and I have worked in companies where it was all about recruiting because they were large companies, and recruiting is the lifeblood of a company that wants to expand and open up additional offices. But that might not be you. I mean, if we go back and look, if at any point in time, if you look in your state or across the country, the average real estate independent broker probably has less than 20, maybe 15 people in their office.
That's right.
So that might be you. We're going to have some folks come on and speak on our podcast about their experiences. And I can think of a couple people who started their independent company and they don't really want to grow it big. They want to have themselves, an assistant, and maybe a handful of agents. So it's really them running their business, but doing it the way that they want to. So that could be you or somewhere in between, or you want to grow. But today, even if you just want to hire a couple people or your goal is 50 or 100, these are some of our best ideas of how to do it. Okay. So let's jump into 2 things. Number one is your goal. I just mentioned that. What's the goal of your company? How many people do you want to hire? And then you have to look at the types of agents. Do you want to hire brand new licensees? So I want to talk about that for first idea. The pros and cons of that. Well, the absolute pro of hiring a brand new agent is it's easier.
Yep.
Okay. It is easier compared to a seasoned agent or someone that's another company that's not ready to make a move yet. Those are longer term processes unless you happen to, I liken it to a FSBO approach, a for sale by owner approach. And we'll get to that in a minute. So the pros are it can be easier. The negatives. If you're not prepared to handle new agents, then this will be a disaster from the get-go.
No kidding.
So our former partner, Rich, he had the perfect model for a brand new agent team. Very unique, great value proposition, grew very large because he had the systems in place. He had the training. He had managers managing teams of 10 to 20 people. That is the only way new agents are going to work. If you're not prepared to take on new agents and answer their questions and have a training program and a mentoring and coaching program, then hiring new licensees is not for you. Now, the good news is we have a solution if you do want to be that type of a brokerage called our Real Estate Sales Builder program and our certification.
Yep.
And you can sign up to get on that first one to know when we launch that. There's a form that Matt has over on WBNLcoaching.com. It's right on the front page, actually, but it's RESB Cert. you can be the first to know and probably get special pricing as well.
Yeah.
Right. Now, if you're going to do new licensees, just to give you a couple ideas, they're not new licensees. There's brand new licensees who haven't joined a brokerage. There's also, people that once they've joined a brokerage, some of the ideas I'll share with you in a moment will be how you can find them. The only way to really get in front of new licensees before they join is to figure out how to partner with some local companies that do pre-licensing. So you may check in your area to see, is there a way to sponsor? Is there a lot of the companies might have allow you to come in and speak to their groups. Sometimes people will provide a list, but maybe you have to pay for that, meaning like you are in their little booklet that they hand out to their pre-licensing students so that you have an opportunity to do that. You may be able to reach out to your state agency for licensing to see, is there a list that you can get? You have to find them before they join a brokerage. That's the problem.
Right.
You can also do advertising and marketing and on social and whatnot to say, are you a person that's going to school or do you want to go to school? So there's all these things you can do if you're going to target new licensees. But again, not for you unless you are completely designed for a new agent model. Okay, so probably enough said on that. Most likely, you're going to look for seasoned licensees. Now, I'm going to group this into just like when we teach team building. If you're just opening a new brokerage, the best type of person for you to probably go after is going to be someone who's maybe 2 to 5 years in the business. Especially if you know what it is, Matt. It's about what are you offering the agents.
Right.
That's going to be who you're going to go after. So if you don't want brand new licensees, but you are offering tools and systems that are going to help an agent who's struggling a little bit, maybe you have training and coaching as part of that. So really, the type of agent, the age level, not age level, the experience level of who you're going to hire is dependent upon what's your value proposition. All right. But I want to take a little bit of time now and talk through 5 or 6 ideas of where do you find agents that are already licensed somewhere else that might be a good fit for your team? Okay. So one of the key ways is, you can start with building a hit list, right?
Yep.
And I'll get to that in a second, I guess, too, where you can start creating a list of people because you can maybe get through your MLS and you might be able to get list of agents that are in other companies. And so you can go that route with it. But the absolute best way to start is your own sphere of influence in your own database. Now, what I mean by this is that let's say you have 500 people that you consistently stay in touch with because you've been in business for a while. I guarantee you that there is someone or more in your own database of people that you've done business with, that could be vendors and so forth as well, that knows someone who's in the real estate business that might be struggling or would be a good fit for your brand. So I do think that you have to start with that and start with your own database. Like if you send a newsletter out, you can announce obviously that it's all part of what you're going to do, right? I'm excited to start my own company, invite them to your open house / grand opening, whatever you're going to do. But you can also ask them through your mailings and through your calls to them, do they know of any other agents that might be looking for a home? Okay. A couple other things you can do here is, who do you know in your own real estate market? I think I have one coming up in here. Who have you done business with in the past? We call that the co-op.
Yep.
Who have you done business with in the past? And I'll share an idea when you start having some agents here in a minute. Who knows you by reputation and then, that you could reach out to. But honestly, don't underestimate an email or a letter or something to your own database to say, I've opened a company and I'm looking for some great people. Who do you know? All right. And then vendors and business contacts are huge, right? Who have you been doing business with? Title reps, loan officers. They all want your business. That's who they're going to come call you. Home warranty companies, they're all going to come call you and say, we would like to partner with you. We want to be your vendor of choice for home inspections or whatever it is. Now, I think there's a couple things you can do here. I think it's like you can basically come up with a program where you have 2 or 3 recommended vendors. I always recommend a rule of 3. But what you do is say, hey, we can promote you to our company, but can you also be on the lookout for agents who are considering a change and let them know to call us or let me know who I might call. Some of them will work with you on that. Okay. I'm telling you, title reps and loan officers are the first to know a lot of times before their brokers. Somebody's not happy or they want to make a move.
Yep.
All right. So empower all of your vendors to do a whole we're going to refer business to you. Can you be on the lookout and refer agents to us? And that's just, it could be as easy as that. To we've been in companies that have tiered programs for sponsorships and the whole 9 yards. Make sure you're following RESPA guidelines.
And
all of that stuff. But you can go as all in to just have a coffee with someone and say, who do you know who might be thinking of making a move? And, we're always going to be referring. You're going to be one of the 3 vendors that we refer to. Okay, so there. Now, co-op agents, I mentioned you as an individual agent who's now a broker or team leader who's become a broker. Who on your list of people you've done business with should you go back and have a conversation with? Start there. And now from this point forward, here's the reality. Just like we say in our training, ABC, always be connecting. We try to teach this concept with new agents that you always need to be thinking about connecting with people, handing out your business cards, getting people's information, adding them to your email list for newsletter and so forth. Now you have to do that for agents. So Matt talked in our last episode about the mind shift change that your client is now your number one client is your agent when you're growing a brokerage. Unless you're going to do both and you're not really wanting to grow your brokerage, then you're still your consumers are your number one. But still, if you have any agents whatsoever, you have to have a focus on that. So how do you get in the mindset, always be connecting? And always be connecting is where are the opportunities? So co-op agents for yourself, but once you have agents, you could have and I've done this in the past in managing offices and found people this way. You could put a system together that says, Matt, let's say Matt's in my company and he just sold his listing. So through my systems of my transaction management, I'm going to know, and he might have told me, we're small. He's going to say, oh my God, I'm so excited. I sold my listing. I'm going to say, awesome. Congratulations. First and foremost, always congratulate your agent, recognize your agent. So, hey, Matt, I saw that it's John Smith on the other side. I don't know him. I haven't done business with him. Can you let me know if this is somebody you think will be great for our company or not? So I have to get his buy-in and his, does he think this person matches our value? I would never call John Smith without talking to Matt is what I'm trying to say. Right. You've got to talk to your agent, recognize them first. But, this is what a lot of companies we've been joined with, and that we even had in our own company, that we had an incentive program in place that if somebody referred an agent to us and we hired them, they got some perk. Okay, they might have got a piece of their first closing, and they might have gotten, something free, whatever your fees are. There's lots of ways that you can incentivize agents to help you. The co-op agent is one of those ways that makes it easy. Now I can reach out to John. Matt's like, forget it. This guy, we wouldn't want him. Then I'll pass. If it's, this guy's great, I think he'd be great. I could call John Smith and just say, hey, this is Jan, the broker of ABC Realty. Thanks for selling our listing, Matt's listing on 123 Elm Street. I just want to introduce myself as part of the team here. If you have any questions, nothing more, not like I want to recruit you. So there's a whole system of doing that. And then at the end, you check in, congratulations, it's closed. What do you think? Is this somebody that we want to bring in? And then I might call and try to close John Smith to see if he wants to at least find out what's going on here at our company. That's a very effective recruiting technique.
It's super effective. And I love how you're really focusing that around your agent, because it's so important for retention purposes to make sure you do that. I will give you a tip on this. I think that I've been in more than one situations where the broker owner of the company will have this kind of program in place, and then they will put too much emphasis on the agent to actually do the recruiting.
Right.
You don't need to do that. You know what I mean? There's nothing worse from a retention standpoint. And I know we're talking about recruiting, but from a retention standpoint is to make it look like all you want to do is make more money, right? So if you are trying to get your agents to do your work, then you are going down the wrong path. Own personal opinion, but don't go down that path.
Well, I agree with you, but the only thing would be if you have an incentive program, you don't need to have that person. I don't need Matt to go make the appointment, but Matt, you might want to get Matt incentivized to make a comment about, you might want to take a meeting with my brokerage so you can
Absolutely.
find out.
And
That's what you want.
That's fantastic because they're getting something for doing very little. But when you try to make them work and do something that's actually, why would you even do that in the first place? Because you're taking their mind off their ball, their eye off their ball. But just side note, I just, these little things start, rumbling.
I totally agree.
The hairs in the back of my neck start raising up. It's like, it's like, don't go too far on this.
Don't underestimate the power of that. And, one that I was going to talk about here, let me just put it in this kind of co-op spot. I honestly think this is one of the easiest on the spot, on the fly. Just remember I was talking about it's like for sale by owners. If I'm teaching a for sale by owner system, and the system includes like everything that we're not talking about today, which is following up with people. And I'll touch on that at the end. But a FSBO system for agents is people that are holding open houses. So as you're driving around and you see an agent sign holding an open house today, then stop in. By the way, brokers, stop in at your own agent's open houses.
There it is.
Go in and stop at your own agent's open houses to support them and see how it's going. And, like you could have a little kit, like, a little water. I brought you some water and whatever, or whatever, right? But you can have that ready when you go and look at XYZ's company. Why I like open houses as a source of recruiting is that the agent's doing something. The person that's holding the open house is out working. Now, it might be a super busy agent who has no desire to move companies, but you're going in and introducing yourself as a broker of this company. And you always like to check on other people's open houses and, get a conversation going. And then you might hand off your company info, or maybe you have the other idea too, by the way, is to have a card, 2 sets of cards. Have a business card that on the backside is a recruiting message or a QR code or something that will get people to go to where they can learn more about what your value proposition is. Have those cards those are like branding cards for agents. When you go out to open houses or you go to networking events, you'd hand that card out. That's not the card you give it to your buyers and sellers, okay? So this open house idea is just to see if there's someone, and you might get into, if you gather their card, you're going to put them into your follow-up system.
Yeah, it's powerful. That's a great idea.
All right, so that co-op agents is a powerful one. Add open houses to that list. Then, of course, social media marketing. Okay, but the difference here is we used to just post the recruiting flyer, right? And you still can do some of that, the recruiting, like reasons to join our brokerage. I think you can do this because we're going to talk about email marketing and mailers. You can have a unique message that goes out in case you happen to find the person who's looking for what you have to offer. It could be your commission structure. It could be all the tools that you offer. So you're going to promote who you are and what you do in all the things that you do on social. But I think what's different today, if I was doing it again, I would be allowing my videos, it's all video, right? Yep. Videos to tell the story of why it's so unique to be at our company. So you would have to have an effort in your social media marketing to show behind the scenes, make sure that you're kind of showing behind the scenes with your target being an agent, show behind the scenes of what's happening when you do a training session, what's happening when you do a meeting, what's happening with community events that you're doing. That's going to tell the story better than you going, "Hi, I'm Jan O'Brien, and my goal is to get you to come talk to me because I'm the broker and I need to recruit you."
Yep.
That is not, as effective as look at what it's like living and being a part of working in our environment. And you can do that with true behind the scenes type stuff for your agents on any social media platform, but videos will tell the story better. Plus you can get testimonials from agents that are heartfelt, that are in the moment or after you recruit them, and why did they join? Or maybe after so many months, you reach back out and go, is it everything that you thought it was going to be? Or why do you like being here? Or when they have their first closing. That's all going to tell the story for you better than you trying to tell the story in a flyer. Okay.
Yep.
So we like social media marketing. Now, I do want to take a minute about LinkedIn because I think LinkedIn is not necessarily social media, and it is literally a search engine and a recruiting tool. Mm-hmm. That is amazing. And I want to share a quick story because Cosmo, who's my business partner now, I actually met Cosmo because I connected with his wife, who was originally the real estate agent, by using this LinkedIn method that I'm going to describe. So I was at one point years back wanting to get back into I was coaching mostly, and I wanted to get back and start building a team again. I thought, you know what, I just need to just do this. Let me start building a team. So I had an idea of doing a veterans team, Vegas veterans. Matt helped me with some of the branding. And
that's right.
So I was like, you know what, I'm going to focus and build around being a military veteran. I want to look for some agents who are also veterans, and we're going to build a little veterans, team. So I use LinkedIn for this very specific purpose. I went to LinkedIn, and at the search, first of all, in our training, you must have an all-star profile. I just actually updated some things on my LinkedIn profile the other day because of having to go in. I was looking at somebody's LinkedIn. I was Googling somebody, and I found their LinkedIn. I said, well, let me just go look at my profile, make sure it's all up to date. And I found some things that need to be fixed. But your profile is powerful for you as a broker, as an individual agent. If you're not even a broker and you're hearing this, you must have an amazing LinkedIn profile, because when somebody Googles your name, LinkedIn's going to come up on the first page.
Yep.
So you can learn. We have all kinds of stuff that you can learn from us on that, and we have a checklist for it and so on. But here's the deal. So make sure your profile, if you're going to use this technique, do not have a crappy LinkedIn profile, is my point. Yeah. Step one, amazing LinkedIn profile. And then step two, you go to the search bar, and all I did was I typed in Las Vegas real estate agent, and you can try different variations of terms, because it's going to look for what you type in somewhere in the people's profiles. It's looking for those keywords. So I would put Las Vegas real estate agent, Las Vegas realtor, comma, military, or comma, veteran. I tried variations, and I found agents that are in Las Vegas that were veterans, and I started to reach out to them. And I would just literally, connect with them if they weren't already a first degree connection. I'd ask for a connection. I personalized it and said, "Hey, I am a Army veteran," or whatever we had in common. "Hey, you're an Army veteran. I'm an Army veteran. I am building a veteran-friendly team and came across your profile. I was wondering if you'd like to go grab a cup of coffee and see about potentially working with me." Something like that. Well, I did that, and I reached out to Dallas, and Dallas called me. And when I sat down to talk to her, the weirdest synchronistic thing happened. And so I found her on LinkedIn. I went and looked at her website and all this, and she was the first person I'd come across in a long time who was using video.
Yep.
I was very impressed. So that's how I reached out to her, through LinkedIn. And then she called and said, "It's so crazy that you reached out to me, because I happened to be Googling and looking for brokers that were veteran friendly, and I came across your stuff." So how crazy is that? I was looking for somebody like her. And fast forward, the interesting thing is she came and joined. She ended up not really loving real estate and ended up going in a different direction. But I met Cosmo, who was the marketing genius behind her videos, and convinced him to get his real estate license. And here we are. Okay. Yep. So LinkedIn, unbelievably powerful resource if you can come up with the ways that you can attract the people that you have something in common with. It could be schools you went to. It could be specialties that you have in the real estate business. I was using veterans and military, because now you have a reason to say, I have a connection immediately that we're both veterans. And now you already have instant rapport.
It's a warm lead from the start.
Yeah, it's a warm lead. So LinkedIn is super powerful. I would just I'd be all in on that. Email marketing. This is where you send you look for third-party companies that have a legitimate list for all the people that are in your MLS. Here's my best tip for this. Pay attention to the recruiting flyers you're getting, because you're probably getting some. Go to the bottom of that, and there's always a link to who created that flyer, what service is out there. And there are a bunch of them. A lot of the flyers that you use for your listings, your just listed or your just sold, won't allow recruiting, but some of them do. And then there are companies out there that, like we use one called eInfotech, and Nat is right. He has lists from realtors all around the country. And, for like $25 a mailing, $20 a mailing, we can send a flyer out. They all don't have great open rates all the time, but you can find these. Okay, just do some searching in your area, and you can come up with a series of, with like everything, it's consistency. You can't send one flyer out in an email and expect people to call you. But if you're consistently doing it with some messages that are compelling, that combined with everything else that you're doing, people will be like, "I keep seeing your stuff everywhere. I thought I better give you a call," right?
That was a really good tip, Jan Brian, kind of the breadcrumb of where to find that, who created that flyer. That's good.
You scroll to the bottom, and then you go, you look at that company. But there are a bunch of companies out there that are specific. I was trying to think of the one that we used to use. just Google everything. Go to Google, real estate agent recruiting, marketing, email marketing, things like that. And you'll come across, I can't think of the name right now. Now, this may sound like it doesn't work, but it does work. Okay. You can actually post up a job description and, if you will, a recruiting ad on places like Indeed.com, Glassdoor.com. Obviously, you can go pay for LinkedIn upgrade and post that you're hiring. You could do that without paying for it too. In your profile, you could say there's a space in LinkedIn to say we're hiring, and that could be powerful as well. But don't underestimate the power of posting an Indeed or a Glassdoor or ZipRecruiter, which then sends them out to Indeed and other places, and have it an ongoing ad that you have up there. You can do it for free, but you can also boost it and pay a couple $100 and have your thing. Now, here's the deal with Indeed and the others. You're going to get everybody and their brother, even though your thing's going to say this is commission only, you have to have a real estate license. You'll still have people that are on those places filling it out. And then but there are some cool things that are inside of Indeed that make people go through a little bit of automated steps that you set up in the first place so that you screen them out. And that would be that they have a license, or you have them they have to reply to an email of some sort. But we've hired people this way. So I'm just saying it can work. Okay. So think of that. And then good old US mail, snail mail, right? Now, the key for mail is you have to have people's addresses.
Yeah.
So, if you end up having people's addresses because maybe you buy a list or you find something, be careful with buying lists too. You have to make sure they're compliant and people have opted in to receive stuff. But what I like about what you could try is, if you're trying to target people in another company and you have a list because you've started building a list, then you might consider just sending a handwritten personal note to their current office address. Okay. Don't do bulk mailings to another company. They're going to, even though they're not supposed to, they're going to intercept that and say, yeah, this is another broker trying to recruit all our agents. And miraculously, that stuff doesn't end up in their mailbox. Okay. So, but that one doesn't work as well. So the last part I want to say about this is that if you're going to have an ongoing recruiting campaign where you want to, you're growing a company, if your goal is to grow the company beyond a couple agents, you always have to be recruiting. If you're trying to get to 50 agents, then you have to pick your strategies, and you have to have a CRM of sorts and build. Just like you do for staying in touch with buyers and sellers who aren't ready to move yet, you need to build a pipeline, and you have to come up with a way to stay in touch with them. And the easiest way to do this is just to build out a simple follow-up system. So the goal is to get people to come in for an interview. Your goal with a buyer or seller is to schedule a consultation. Right. Call it a consultation with an agent. That's your goal. So you are going to have things in place to convince them to reach out to you. It could be the newsletter that you do to your own company. You include them on it to let them know what you're doing. I did that for the longest time, and I had people come in. I also had people say, I don't want to get your newsletter. Fine, then unsubscribe from it, So you do those things, and then once they're in and you do an interview, you're going to get, this has been great, but I'm not ready to make the move. This is a whole thing that happens. People are afraid to make the move for lots of reasons. Maybe they have escrows. They don't want to let the other broker down. There's a whole coaching process that I would take somebody through if I was helping them. But the bottom line is they met with you. They may go back to their company and then some little something happens. The copy machine for the 20th time doesn't work anymore. And you've been staying in touch with them, being pleasantly persistent, but not overwhelming. And you're doing things like recognizing when they have a sale and congratulating them. Or sending them little things that their own broker is not doing. These are the things that can lead to someone finally getting ready to make the move, and you've been staying in touch with them and they come to you. All right. So you have to have a system after the interview of, again, your CRM is what's going to do that. And a reminder to, when's the next time I want to call Matt? I interviewed him today. He's not ready. I'm going to call him in 45 days or 60 days or whatever the time frame that he thought he might be in. I'm just going to go and check in and say, hey, how's it going? All right. Has anything changed? I just wanted to check in with you. All right. So it's like anything, man. You have to prospect. You have to follow up. You lead generate, you follow up. That's how we do business. That's how you do recruiting.
Good stuff.
Right?
Yep.
Now, of course, you did come up with, I wrote it down. There is literally a part 5 we could do here, which I think is worth it. And it's basically retention of your agents. And I feel like if you don't have the retention systems in place, which are things like a coaching program or a training program or what other value proposition and little things that you can do, then you can be a recruiting machine, but nobody stays. So I think we should add retention.
I agree, and you
said it.
I knew that was going to happen. So, we'll have that coming up in a couple of weeks.
Part 5 will be retaining you. Today we are growing your brokerage. The final episode really needs to be, honestly, I can think of one more if we really want to go all in, which is retaining quality agents. And honestly, we should talk about exit strategy.
Yeah, there you go.
So how do you exit and sell your brokerage, or get somebody? How do you structure a deal to have somebody take over your brokerage? So there you go. There could be the episode 6.
I love it. So I enjoy this is the beauty of of podcasting and being live, right? You just kind of come up with new stuff on the fly. So this is the end of this series. No. There's one and or 2 more episodes coming up. But
I see 2 more.
Yeah, exactly. I concur with you. But next week, we'll be having an interview with Bob Bronswick. He's a Realty One Group franchise owner out of Denver, Colorado, with a couple other good guys as well.
Yeah, they actually have a region of Realty One Group.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so he will be with us on episode 244. We actually, I guess we talked to Bob last fall, right, when we did some business code or business. Planning with his company. So it'll be nice to circle back around and catch up with Bob next week. All of the show notes for this particular episode, as well as links to the other episodes we've had in the series, are over at WBNLpodcast.com, episode 243. And we'll be back with a couple more episodes, which I'm glad about, because I'm really enjoying this series, Jan, because not only does this series actually work for someone that's thinking about opening their own brokerage, but if you already have a team or a brokerage, you can this is almost like a little refresher for you. So
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Love it.
What else, Jan O'Brien? Where are we at now? We're in, middle of June?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, I don't even want to think about the fact that it's halfway through the year.
I know, it is kind of a crazy thought that 2023 is already cruising along as much as it is now. It's pretty
all right. It's all good, though. Having a good year. Best year ever.
Best year ever. All right, everyone. Well, get up, get out, go check out those show notes, live the life you frickin' dreamed, and be forever wandering, but not lost.